Hi, I'm Robert, and I'm going to show you how to take this image from here to here, all in Lightroom. I'm going to show you how to quickly and easily make complex selections in Lightroom. You're going to be surprised how easy this is. Before we can get to that point, let's start with our base edit. I like to work my way up from the bottom to the top. Make sure we're on the current version. I'm going to skip vignetting. Let's straighten this image. Press on constrain crop. Zoom in on the horizon, and let's straighten this image. That's better. Now we'll continue our way up. As always, clicking on these two, remove chromatic aberrations and enable profile corrections. We're going to go up to sharpening, do my standard sharpening routine, 100 to sharpening, and then applying the mask. We want to sharpen everywhere except for the sky and water. So we'll go to about here. If you sharpen the sky and water, you're just going to add grain where it's not needed. Let's continue up. We're going to skip the color panel for now, but we will return. Let's go to the basic panel. This image is a bit warm, so I'm going to cool it down just a little bit. My exposure looks pretty good. Let's bring the highlights all the way down to recover the sky. It's still a bit bright, but we're going to fix that very easily. Next up, shadows. Let's bring them up so we can see into these rocks in the foreground. I don't want to go all the way. It's a little washed out. You can see here the pier's a little bit weird looking, but don't worry, we're going to fix that. Next up, let's set our white point and black point. I'm going to bring the whites up and watching my histogram until we clip. Then I'll back it down. So we'll go up, we're clipping, bring it back down. Let's do the same with the black slider. Bring it down, we're clipping, bring it back up. So now our exposure is set and our contrast is set. Now the fun part. Let me show you how we're going to select the sky the easy way. Let's grab our grad tool, pull it down while holding shift. Let's turn on our mask. So everything in red is selected, but we only want to be affecting the sky and not the pier. So the easy way to fix this, go down to range mask, click on luminance, grab your dropper and just click in the sky. Now, since we selected only the bright areas, you can see we easily masked off the sky. It would have taken forever to individually go in and try and edit out all of these little areas. So the pier isn't selected, only the sky is. So let's turn off our overlay so we can get to work on this. I'm going to darken the sky with exposure, and then I'm going to bring the saturation up a little bit. So that's a good starting spot. I'm going to close my brush here. I'm going to do a little more work on the sky. Let's go down to our HSL panel, click on luminance. I'm going to darken up the reds, the orange, and the yellow. So now our sky is really popping, looking good. Next up, let's work on the pier. It's very complex, it's a weird shape, but I'll show you how we can easily select it to do work on it. So let's grab our brush, make a wide brush. Let's press O so we can see we're working. And generally, let's just brush over the pier. We have all the pier selected, but we spilled over all over the place. So it's not a very clean mask, even though we had auto mask turned on. You can see we spilled off into the water, a little bit into the sky. So not ideal. So we're going to do the same thing. Go to range mask, luminance, grab our dropper, click on a dark area. Now Lightroom selected all of the dark areas. So we no longer are affecting our bright skies, the water. We're only working on the pier. So it's super simple to make a complex selection like this using luminance masking. So let's press O, turn off our overlay, and let's do some work on this pier. First up, to make it pop, let's bring the texture up. I generally like to go up to 30. It's a little washed out and kind of hazy, so we'll add a little bit of dehaze. How about 20? Adds more contrast too. And it's a little bright still, so I want to darken it up so it really sits out from the background. Let's go down on exposure to about 0.4. So now our pier has a lot of definition and contrast. It sticks out from the bright background. Next up, let's click on new. Make sure you have auto mask turned on. And let's brush in these foreground rocks. So we don't need to get it perfect. Lightroom did a pretty good job. We only spilled over a little bit here. So we can just erase this by making our brush into an eraser by holding down Alt. The eraser process is very easy because we have auto mask on. Press O, turn off our overlay. So we have a bit of a cool tone to these rocks, even though we have a warm sunset. So we can fix that right here with our color temperature. Just bring it up, warm up these rocks. And since they're our foreground element, and I usually like to bring out the texture in our foreground element, let's do that. So now the sharpest part of our image is our foreground. Having the foreground the sharpest part helps draw the eye in from the beginning of the image till the back. So we're looking front to back. We also have some strong leading lines in this image, going from right all the way to left. And this line pointing out towards Catalina in the end of the pier also. So both these lines are helping lead your eye from the foreground to the background and from side to side. You always want to lead your viewer's eye through your image. We have one little distracting dot here, so let's grab our spot removal tool, select it, and remove it. If you don't have this mask turned on, just click here, visualize spots. If you don't have this toolbar, just simply press T for toolbar, and it'll appear. You can always move our range around so you can get a better look at things to try and find dust in the sky or spots in your water. So we're done with that. Let's close that. So we quickly and easily edited this image all in Lightroom. We didn't need to go into Photoshop and make some super complicated mask just to work on these individual areas. And I'm real happy with the results. It was fast, it was easy, and it was a fun edit. This was a pretty rare shot. We had high tide with the water coming all the way to these rocks. The rocks were placed in front of the lifeguard building, which was being reconstructed. Sometimes the rocks are completely buried under the sand, depending if there was a storm or not. Sometimes they're exposed. But most of the time the water doesn't come nearly this high, so everything lucked out for this one. The water's all the way up to the rocks, and the rocks are exposed. You can even see Catalina peeking through in our background here. And on top of all of that, we got nice color in the sky. So I'm real happy with the way this image turned out. I hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe. Thanks. Come on.